Well, hello and welcome back. This is R.A. Casper on the Faux world, working on the pyramid again. And I did get the north and east parts of the top of the pyramid done. Now I'm working on the south and west parts of the top. Then I'll work on the much larger parts along the bottom next. Just want to show off what it looks like. It is nighttime now, but one of the cool things about using half slabs is that in the daytime light is going to come through them. It's going to look pretty cool, I think. And as I explained before, I engineered the interior parts of the pyramid so that mobs cannot spawn in there, even though it's dark. It's dark everywhere except for on the floor. Mobs can spawn there, if not for the light. And I hope that I've lit it up enough with those jack-o'-lanterns that it's not going to happen. It's one thing I'm curious about. After I get all the exterior done, I'm not sure how dark it's going to be on the floor. But we shall see. And also in the last video, I said if you're on the server, come on out and help. You know, you certainly don't have to. You know, and I do feel a certain sense of satisfaction in doing all this myself, even though it is kind of tedious just to do what I'm doing right now, just placing these blocks. But it's part of the fun, you know, is of building a big project like this. Is getting the satisfaction of actually doing it. And it is a scale model of an actual pyramid, so I feel kind of, you know, if someone else helps, I don't want them to think that they can, like, you know, move in or add rooms or do things like that. I'd like people to respect the design that I created and not add to it. So that's why I kind of hesitate about asking people to help out, but I don't know. In the end, it's just a game, and if someone wants to change this, I guess I won't be too upset, but I would like to at least do that, like a video where I do a walkthrough tour of the whole thing. Okay, so what was I going to talk about? Yeah, virtual reality. I wanted to talk about that a little bit, because that is one thing that Minecraft reminds me a lot of. I don't remember when it was, but I think it was in the 80s or 90s. This term virtual reality was invented. And I remember seeing a news piece on the first virtual reality headset. You know, some computer science researcher who worked for a university had created this setup where you have, you know, the goggles on your face and special gloves on each hand that sense the position of your fingers, and the headset sensed you know, the orientation of your head, kind of like how a phone, like an iPhone, for example, if you rotate it, it can sense that it's being rotated. Similar technology. And the piece I saw in the news had the guy in this virtual world, you know, like a 3D modeled world. And this is back when, you know, computers were like, I believe they were 8-bit, maybe 16. It was a long time ago. And in this 3D virtual world, there were just objects, you know, like there was a floor and there's a door that you could open, different objects, and you can your the operator represented in the world was a hand, or like a gauntlet that could interact with things, and you would move your head and you could change your point of view in the world. I think the only thing you can do really was open and close the door, move around, and like pick things up and move them. It was very basic, but it was just like a proof of concept type of thing. Hey, how's it going, G Steel? And it really wasn't practical for anything, but it kind of caught the imagination of science fiction writers. A lot of this, maybe not a lot, but a great deal of science fiction that came out after that invention had some kind of virtual reality component. Like Star Trek The Next Generation had the holodeck, which is sort of a 3D physical type of virtual reality. Then, of course, the Matrix movies were based on the idea. But even before that, there were some. Like there was, let's see, there was what was it called? I think it was a TV miniseries. It was called something like Wild Palms or something like that. It had Jim Belushi, I think, was the star of it. And the technology in that movie was sort of virtual reality based. You know, there were people that lived in virtual worlds, like computer hacker types who could put on special laser glasses, which were sort of like the goggles of virtual reality. Then they would go into this, computer model of a place or a world where they would interact with people, and they would appear as avatars in that virtual reality. I forget what the whole thing was about. It was some kind of like a big business and government trying to control people somehow. I forget the exact plot line, because it was decades ago I saw it, but it was that, and let's see, what else? I think there was a TV show on Fox called VR5, which I remember. This was more science fiction based on virtual reality. Starred an actress named Laurie Singer. And in this, she played a sort of a computer geek who worked for the phone company. And in her off hours, she was a computer hobbyist. And combining her knowledge of virtual reality and phone networks, she was able to create this special computer which would create a sort of a virtual reality inside of someone's subconscious. So what she would do is she could call somebody on the phone, then they would answer, and then there would be like this, like a modem handshaking noise, if you know what that sounds like a fax machine sort of noise. And then she would be, and in her computer lab, she'd be wearing the traditional like goggles and special gloves and everything. But she would be inside of that person's subconscious and interacting with them in sort of a imaginary world. then when she was done, I think there was some way she could get out of it. I forget what it was. Something like, if she had like she had to find like a glowing red gem and touch it or something like that, and that would get her, that would disconnect. Then the person that she had called would be would find themselves standing, with a phone next to their head and with no memory of what had happened. From their point of view, all that happened was the phone rang, they answered it, they heard a weird noise, and then the line was dead. So she was recruited by some spy organization, I think, to use this invention to like get information from people. Because when she was in the virtual reality of their imagination, she could like get information, or even, I think she was even able to influence them by saying things in their, to their subconscious. It was interesting. I think it only lasted one season, but that's Fox for you. Let's see. And of course, the Matrix movies, where the virtual reality was what people thought was real, but it actually wasn't. But anyway, the reason I brought that up is that it seems to me that Minecraft is sort of like what science fiction writers of the 90s envisioned virtual reality to be. Because you're here in this 3D world, and you can interact with other people, and you're an avatar, like this is my guy here. You can make a custom skin so you can look like whatever you want. You don't have to be in the same room. It's all connected on the internet. So it just seems to me that Minecraft is sort of, it has turned into like the realization of what people imagined virtual reality to be when it first started. And not just Minecraft, like other games like, World of Warcraft are similar, but Minecraft is unique, I think, because it's a sandbox game where you can just go in and do anything you want. There's no specific storyline. You can just, gather resources and build things and talk to people with the chat. Or, if you have like a voice chat, you can actually talk to people. I'm going to have to get some more slabs pretty soon here. I'd be curious what you think of my theory about Minecraft being virtual reality. And are there any virtual reality based science fiction shows that you'll remember that I forgot to mention? There were more. I think there was a movie that came out about the same time as The Matrix called something like The 13th Floor or something like that. That was pretty good, but it didn't have any sequels as far as I know. In that one, I think it was similar, where the people were inside a virtual world and they didn't know it. I think the interesting thing about that movie is that the people in the movie developed a virtual reality similar to the Matrix that you can plug into. Then they were interacting with people and non-player characters in that environment, and then later on they discover that the world that they thought was real was actually a virtual world. So the first virtual reality was a program within the computer in the virtual reality that they lived in. And I thought that's what they were going to do with the Matrix when they had the second Matrix movie. I think it was at the end where Neo was able to use his ability to control events in the Matrix. He was able to use those in the real world. Like when they were right at the end, when he was they're in some kind of cave, I think, and those spider-like machines were coming at him, and he held up his hand, and then they shattered or something like that. What I thought was going to happen at the third movie was they were going to realize that the world they thought was real was actually part of the Matrix, and they weren't out yet. That's what I was hoping for in the third one. So I think I've rambled on long enough, so I guess that'll be enough for one episode. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.